This week on an all-new episode of Seinfeld, the gang finds out Jerry's Jewish.
Jerry, I heard the news. You refuse to recognize Palestine? What are you, some kind of Zionist?
George, I ordered a corned beef on rye. I didn't sign the Balfour Declaration.
Whoa. Hold on, Jerry. You're Jewish?
Yes, Kramer.
Wait a minute. The hair, the complaining, the not that there's anything wrong with it, that was all authentic this whole time?
The whole time.
This explains everything. The guilt, the inability to commit. Jerry, you've been holding out on us. We're your best friends and you never once mentioned you're part of the tribe?
Should I have worn a badge, George? Hello, my name is Jerry. I enjoy bagels on Sunday. Should I wear the blue ribbon?
I don't want to wear the ribbon. So what's the deal with Israel? Is it really the size of a postage stamp?
Guys, it's not a secret society. My mother still calls me every Sunday to ask why I'm not married to a nice Jewish girl who doesn't eat pork on Yom Kippur.
What? Is that the one where you fast and feel guilty? I tried that once. Lasted till lunch.
Wait a second. Is that why you called him a soup Nazi?
Now you're getting it, George. Are you okay? Because you seem a little uncomfortable.
No, I'm very comfortable.
I don't know. You seem a little anti.
I'm not anti.
You know, I don't like the blacks.
Yeah, we know.
How much do we love Jerry Seinfeld? The man is a national treasure, I'm telling you. Welcome to Mark Moseley Show on YouTube at Mark Moseley Show, on social media at Mark Moseley, including X now at Mark Moseley Show. On Facebook, it's just at Mark Moseley. Same thing with Instagram. But on the new X account, which I just set up a couple of days ago, it's at Mark Moseley Show. So, we love Jerry Seinfeld. He really handled things, I think, beautifully recently when he was asked by a pro-Palestinian TikTok star to chant, Free Palestine.
Can we get a Free Palestine? Can we get a Free Palestine? Come on, give us one Free Palestine.
It doesn't exist.
Here's a guy that said, I want to make a movie about Pop-Tarts. And some studio executive said, yeah, sure. And it's a great movie if you've never seen it, the Pop-Tart movie. But, just said Jerry Seinfeld said his truth. Palestine is not a real thing. Dropped the mic and walked away. No soup for you. He is an American treasure. I saw an article, I forgot to save it, where some Gen Z writer said that Gen Z kids a lot of them find Seinfeld to be cringy and dated. And just to educate some of you Gen Z and younger millennials that don't appreciate the show, it's because, this is what's happened with Seinfeld. These things in the 90s were original. They were original bits, and now they land as cliche because the show itself popularized them into culture to a degree where, yes, now it's passé. So if you're seeing it now, of course it comes off as, seen that, done that. But in the 90s, the show was sharp, edgy. We'd never seen anything like it. So jokes about waiting in line and bad dates and what is the deal with, have been endlessly copied and memed and absorbed into mainstream comedy. So spare us your disaffected attitude because Seinfeld perfected disaffected before you were even born. They were the people that made disaffected a thing to begin with. The everything sucks, but let's just laugh about it style of comedy that is so popular today. Jerry and George and Elaine and Kramer, they weren't woke warriors, though. Now, here's the difference between them and the kids today. They were petty. They were selfish. Well, maybe they are like the kids today. They were neurotic. They mocked social conventions, they mocked relationships, and they mocked the everyday absurdities, but with zero pretense of moral superiority. And maybe that's the distinction. that deadpan, ironic detachment, that was revolutionary in the 90s. By the time today's Gen Z kids were born, Seinfeld had already mainstreamed the whole disaffected vibe that I saw with my kids that were born post-Seinfeld. And that's because it kind of leaked into our everyday lives, the impact of that kind of way of looking at the world. What was cutting edge cynicism in the 90s now comes off as like grandpa's comedy. And it's not because it aged poorly, because it was so influential that you kids grew up with parents that were impacted by it. So what modern comedy does now is it swaps that pure observational disaffection for a lecture. You know, Seinfeld did it better. They did it funnier. They did it decades earlier, and they did it without the pretense of moral superiority. And so the kids calling it dated are basically, it's like complaining that your grandfather invented the automobile. To me, it's just a bunch of yada, yada, yada. And by the way, Jerry Seinfeld is right about to crack the ceiling into billionaire status. He's worth over $900 million. And I guess AOC would say that he stole all that money by, working 18-hour days for 9 years to create that show, so unique and timeless. Because, there's no such thing as an honest billionaire, according to the left, according to AOC and people like that. It's all stolen money to people on the left. Which brings us to the man of the week, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, who became officially the world's very first trillionaire when SpaceX went public. And by the way, he created hundreds of millionaires overnight, common people that worked for him that got stock basically for being involved in a startup. It's happened time and time again. We've all heard the stories about how the lady that used to cut people's hair, I think it was at Apple or Google, one of the big companies, one of the early big tech companies. She was like the woman that would come in and give them haircuts. And then when they went public, she became a multimillionaire. So it happens. But the socialists on the left, the we can create a socialist utopia crowd on the left, they are big mad that Elon Musk is now a trillionaire. Liz Warren tweets, "If Elon Musk paid my ultra-millionaire wealth tax, we could pay for childcare for all 3- and 4-year-olds in America." She tweeted that this week in response to Musk becoming a trillionaire. Okay, Liz, let's get the calculator out. Okay, let's get the calculator out. Let's assume, Liz Warren, that when you say childcare for all the 3- and 4-year-olds in America, why don't you give us this one? Let's just say, how about all the 3- and 4-year-olds in America that live below the poverty line? So the kids that really need free government paid for childcare. There are about 1.3 million kids in America living below the poverty line that are age 3 or 4. How much does the average state spend per child on pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds? State-funded pre-K programs, national average, around $7,500 to $10,000. So does $8,500 per year sound reasonable to you? Elon Musk pays $11 billion a year in taxes. And if you do the math on that, $11 billion divided by $8,500, you get 1.3 million children. So it sounds to me like he's already paying for the child care for 1.3 million poor kids in America right now. Math is hard. Well, let's look at it another way. How about this math fact, Liz? At $11 billion a year, Musk is paying the yearly salary of 1/3 of all the teachers in America. 1/3 of all the teachers in America, their salaries are being covered by one guy's taxes. But yeah, let's jack his taxes up because he's not paying enough. He's not paying his fair share. They're all getting in on the act. And what an act it is. What a kabuki theater performance we're getting. Bernie Sanders weighed in on Musk's wealth. And he says, today, Elon Musk, a trillionaire, pays the same amount into Social Security as someone making $184,000. If we end that absurdity and lift the cap on taxable income, we can make Social Security solvent for 75 years and expand benefits by $2,400. My Social Security bill would do that. Yes, let's lift the cap on collecting Social Security tax on taxable income for the purpose of hurting Elon Musk, resulting in not hurting Elon Musk at all because he's got so much money that you can't hurt him, but you're just going to hurt all the people below him on the socioeconomic ladder. If you want to lift the cap on Social Security, guess what? You're just going to hurt all the people starting from the bottom at $184,000 a year going up, which if you live in California, I can tell you right now that $184,000 a year makes you barely middle class. Yeah, that makes complete sense. Here's a little touch from the Elon Musk story. The Elon Musk story. In the early 2000s, after selling his stake in PayPal, Elon Musk was down to his, this is my documentary voice, Elon Musk was down to his last roughly $40 million. I know, sounds like a lot of money, huh? Instead of playing it safe, he made one of the boldest bets in business history. He poured nearly all of that money into two struggling high-risk companies. SpaceX, which had failed 3 rocket launches in a row and was on the verge of bankruptcy, and Tesla, sound familiar? Which was burning cash, facing production hell, and widely mocked as a doomed electric car startup. Against all conventional wisdom, Musk bet everything on these two dying companies and then turned them around. That's right, AOC. He took a chance. SpaceX eventually achieved the first privately funded spacecraft to reach orbit and revolutionized reusable rockets. Tesla, of course, went on to become the world's most valuable car company and accelerated the global shift to electric vehicles. But now the left is trying to paint Elon Musk as if he's some kind of Bond villain, you know, as if he's Dr. Evil. If anything, Bezos looks way more like a Bond villain. Yeah. This is the problem that the left really has with Musk. He's like Trump. They loved him right up to the moment that he said, I'm a Republican. And that's their fault, by the way. Maybe if you hadn't allowed your party to be taken over by socialist ideology and you hadn't dumbed everyone down through the American education system, which you also control, to the point that entire generations of people, including the punditry and the media and all the podcasters on the left and all of the rest of them, can't even defend their own worldview without just going straight to name calling, where you're a racist, homophobic, you know, whatever. You wouldn't be so mad and so frustrated and immediately go right to name calling every time you have to defend your ideas. Musk and Trump and the rest of them that walked away from the Democrat Party would never have walked away. And you wouldn't be hating a guy that's literally saving mankind on multiple fronts. The guy made electric cars cool. He took a dying, laughed at, laughing stock of the car business, a company that was just going to go out of business, that was making crappy cars, that was bleeding cash, that was on the brink of bankruptcy, and he turned it around. And not only did he turn it around, but he made it the coolest electric car out there. And that has saved millions of lives around the world. I just saw a story about how in China now, the Chinese are talking about how their efforts to go green, to go electric, and have a solar power as much as possible and moving away from fossil fuels. Yes, they are, even though they've been building coal plants. At one point, they were building a coal plant a week for years. Now they're trying to go green because the air there is just so thick and so unbreathable that people are dying. Well, now China's air is starting to clear up because of the number of electric cars that are now on the streets in China, the solar panels on the roofs of vehicles, and people are being saved to the point that China's writing stories about it. Now, you could call it propaganda if you want to, but it is making a difference. And of course, it's made a difference around the world. Electric vehicles, of course, zero emission vehicles, saving the planet, saving mankind. And so he revolutionized an industry that the left otherwise loves. They love it. He revolutionized space travel so we can go to other planets far cheaper and more effectively than some bloated government program like NASA. Why did it take the United States 50 years to get back to the moon after we did it in less than 10? You know, we went from high altitude flights, you know, Chuck Yeager, to Apollo 11 in less than 10 years. But then it took us 50 years to get back to the moon, and we didn't even land on the moon this last time. We flew around it, which is like, hey, kids, we're going to Disney World. And then when you get to Orlando, you just drive by Disney World and go, wave at Mickey, kids. And you don't actually go in. Anyway, Musk revolutionized space travel. And the big one, he's going to capture the robot market. Now, the robot economy is coming. I know it doesn't seem like it is, but it's coming. And when it gets here, it's going to arrive very suddenly, and it's just going to be everywhere. And it'll probably be culture shock to a lot of people, especially boomers, because robots are going to be able to go out there and do all kinds of jobs, and especially the dangerous jobs. They will likely eventually replace the military and the police and the firefighters. And it's going to be real difficult to for all of these liberals that hate the cops to continue the hate on the cops when the cop is a robot who has no emotion and is completely disaffected, like a main character from Seinfeld. What is the deal with robot cops?
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
The other thing a robot can do is work way longer than a human and more efficiently. They don't give you attitude. They don't spend half the day during their shift scrolling on their phones and talking to their girlfriend. They will work in the hot sun all day picking tomatoes, and they will eliminate the need for an immigrant workforce. Oh, now I get it. I get it now. Robots don't need government benefits. They don't need to register to vote. Now I know why they hate Elon Musk. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Let's move on to the UFC versus Bette Midler. We had the big UFC Fight Night at the White House, which the left got all upset about. Oh my gosh. You know, I remember when I was a kid, the left were the rebels. The left were cool. The left were against the system. The hippies, they were like, stick it to the man, you know, and they were the rebels. They were the fun people. They were the cool kids. They were the ones experimenting with drugs and promiscuous sex and all of that stuff that, you know, when you were a kid, you're like, wow, they're so cool. And now they're just, I don't know what happened. I really don't. Now they're just scolds, humorless scolds. And it's just one more way that Donald Trump has broken these people. They tried to shut down this UFC fight on the White House lawn. They couldn't stop it. They even tried to get a federal judge to shut it down. As if there's never been an event on the White House lawn before. Like on July 4th, 1976. America's 250 coming up. America's 200th birthday in 1976, President Gerald Ford hosted a massive public celebration on the South Lawn with tens of thousands of people and fireworks and military bands and performances. It was a major patriotic spectacle broadcast nationally. How about in 2009, the Capitol 4th? Obama hosted a large-scale concert celebration on the South Lawn with thousands in attendance, big-name performers, national TV coverage. Similar in energy and scale to a major sporting event. There have been many events over the years that had huge crowds and a lot of a lot of landscape used and things that had to be redone and put back, and like the 2018 state visit for Macron, or when Queen Elizabeth II came to visit the United States. Thousands of guests, military flyovers, full honor ceremonies, large crowds, huge tents and grandstands, and things where the lawn had to be put back together, drawing huge media crowds. The South Lawn every year has the Easter egg rolls, up to 30,000 people, big signs and large audiences, but Trump can't. He must be stopped. We've got to shut it down. I liked the UFC fight because it was the first time for me in recent history that I've seen the right have a cooler show than the left. Because, Super Bowls and things like that, they had Bad Bunny, and who did we have? We had Kid Rock again. But for once, the right had the cooler show. Normally the left, they pull out all their A-listers and we just have one more Kid Rock show, Trump's got Kid Rock on speed dial. Anytime we need Kid Rock, he shows up for us. Every single time, Kid Rock has nothing better to do. If we need a concert, we just call Kid Rock, and he comes right out. If we need a contract killing, we call Kid Rock. No one knows this, but Kid Rock actually took out Soleimani. The man is a brutal assassin, and he plays a mean guitar. But we had the cooler show on Sunday night. The left had Jane Fonda and Bette Midler. Let's compare, shall we? Let's take a look. This?
Caught and relaxed and smiling. Oh! She slapped him!
Or this?
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Hey there, all you fascists. Let me put you straight.
One more time. This?
Smiling. Oh! She slapped him!
Or this?
Oh, you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose.
Should we do it again? No. 2 times? It's too many times. Okay. 2 times is good. This?
Oh! She slapped him!
Or this?
Oh, you fascists bound to lose.
And of course, unfortunately, one of the UFC fighters had a MAGA gag moment when he blurted out, "Michelle Obama's a man." This is why we can't have nice things. Hey, look, some people think Michelle Obama's a man. That's fine. That's whatever. You want to just maybe keep that to yourself. Maybe not every thought that pops into our brains should come out of our mouths. It should just be an interior monologue. Yes, in your head. Michelle Obama's a man. I'm pretty sure of it, even though I have no evidence. I don't know where, actually, no, I do know where this started. Alex Jones, I think, was the guy that originated the whole, Michelle Obama used to be a dude. Michelle Obama used to be a guy. That's not a good Alex Jones impression. I should never do that again. And it hurts a little bit, too. Yeah, she used to be a guy. But let's push back on that a little bit here on the Mark Moseley Show with the top 5 ways you can tell Michelle Obama is not a man. And let's get him in here, read by her husband, former President Barack Obama. Here we go. Number 5. Michelle can spend 45 minutes in a dressing room trying on the same black dress in 3 different shades of black and still ask my opinion as if I have one. Number 4. She remembers the exact emotional tone of every argument we've had since 1992. And if you ask her for an example of something from an argument, she can give you 5. I can't remember what I had for lunch or where I was born. I'm just kidding. Number 3, she actually folds the fitted sheet instead of just stuffing it in the closet like a normal person. Number 2, she can say, I'm fine, in a way that tells me she's absolutely not fine. We're not fine. We're not going to be fine, and nothing will be fine for at least the next 48 hours. And number 1, these are the top 5 ways You can tell Michelle Obama is not a man. When you cross the line with Michelle, she doesn't back down from a fight. Unlike me with my Iran deal. Oh, got him. Well, gas prices have already started to come down below $6 now in California. Imagine being excited about driving by a gas station and going, wow, it's under $6. Look at that, $5.99 a gallon. Well, we haven't seen that in 2026. What a glorious age we live in. Oh, the bar is set so low in California here. I mean, we got a governor now who his latest thing is he swears that Trump's out to get him, even though it's an investigation that started before Trump got it back into office. So, but you see, but here's the thing. So the left loves to say that if you're not in power, if you are in power, then the deep state can't work against you. But yeah, that's the opposite argument that Gavin Newsom would have to make. He would have to make that argument that Trump somehow during Biden's term, I've had this argument with several people lately about how the deep state cannot conspire against you because if you're the president, you're running everything. And no one in your administration can conspire against you. But apparently the opposite would have to be true. During the last year of Biden's term, when this investigation was started, Trump was controlling the DOJ. Anyway, let's talk about Iran and the Iran deal. You know, in 1984, I'm going to tell a little story here that it has nothing to do with Iran and the Iran deal, except it does. It's an analogy. Eric Stoltz was officially cast and signed to play the lead in a movie called Back to the Future. He filmed for over 5 weeks. Roughly 40% of the film was shot with Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly. Then Robert Zemeckis, the director, and Steven Spielberg, the producer, as they're looking at the footage and everything, and they're doing rough cuts, early edits of the film, they decided that Eric Stoltz was just way too serious and dramatic, and they wanted it to be more lighthearted and fun. So he got replaced by Michael J. Fox, who was originally their first choice, but at the time, he was still under contract with Family Ties and they couldn't get him. So the entire production gets shut down for a short time. They recast, they reshot all of the scenes that Eric Stoltz had shot with Michael J. Fox, and then they finished the movie. This is considered one of Hollywood's most famous almost was stories. What the heck does that have to do with the Iran deal? Well, the Iran deal is still in pre-production, but the left wants to act like it's wrapped. And they need that very badly, for whatever reason, right now, to be what it's gonna be. The Iran deal is just a piece of paper, and it's a preliminary agreement. It's all still yet to be hammered out over the next 30 to 60 days. It's at the beginning, it's not at the end of the story. But the left is just so desperate to paint this deal as that it is what it is now. This is what it is. You know, and saying things like the Strait is going to be reopened. Well, it was open before this started. And Trump's going to give them $300 billion. Well, that's more than Obama gave them. And yet he scrapped the Obama deal. Why did we even do this Iran war? What did any of this accomplish? As if that's it. As if it's just as simple as that. I always say that the left, people on the left can nuance when they want to or they need to, but when nuance works against them, when the context, when the details don't work for them, then they try to reduce it to some kind of bumper sticker argument. But there's a whole lot that's different now in Iran today because of Trump. And the left, the media, they don't want you to look at any of that. They only want you to look at the cherry-picked details about how Trump is going to give them $300 billion. No, he's not, actually. The $300 billion that's in the deal memo right now, which could change depending on what Iran decides to do. If they want to keep playing the FAFO game, which they are likely to do, by the way. Do I think this thing is going to hold? No, I think they're going to need to have the crap bombed out of them for a little bit longer before they finally do get it. So we're probably going to go back and forth for a little bit longer. Do I want this to be over? Yes, I do, very much. For now, I want this to be over. I want the Strait of Hormuz to be open. I want gas prices to start coming down. And I want the economy to start turning around. Inflation to be reduced. I want the Fed to bring down interest rates so that people can afford to buy homes again. There's a lot that's hinging on this, but there's a lot that's different in Iran today because of Trump, because of the one guy in 50 years of all the presidents that we've had since the Iranian Revolution in 1979 that didn't have the stones to do what Trump's doing. Direct strikes on Iranian-backed proxies and command structures. Trump's administration enabled aggressive targeting of their assets and their proxy leaders, and it has dramatically weakened the ring of fire around Israel more than any previous administration. Maximum pressure that starved and destroyed their war machine, their ability. Trump's sanctions have crippled their oil revenue. And their funding pipelines, not just their oil pipelines, their funding pipelines. They've been losing $400 to $500 million a day. They need this to be over. And it's making it harder, by the way, for them to resupply Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis at the scale that they were during these recent conflicts because they've needed to keep those bombs and those missiles and all that money for themselves. The Abraham Accords did not crumble because of this. In fact, the argument can be made that the coalition there is stronger than it's ever been because our Arab friends, I'm going to call them friends, I'm using that term loosely. Our Arab friends have a lot more confidence in the United States now that the United States, is going to protect a country like Saudi Arabia, that's going to protect the UAE. Arab states quietly and sometimes openly have been supporting Israel's right to exist and defend itself. And that's been a kind of a diplomatic isolation of Iran that did not exist before. The Abraham Accords have gotten stronger because of this. There's been no nuclear breakout on his watch, and that's the big one. We will probably never know how close we came to 0 hour. Trump pulled out of the Obama deal because Iran just kept on enriching uranium. And the reason that we know this is because logic tells us that. No, we can't prove it because they wouldn't let us go in there. That's the whole point. They wouldn't let the International Atomic Energy Agency or whatever it's called to go in there. They wouldn't let the UN go in there and look at they would let them go to declared sites, but not the ones that were, hidden under 3,000 feet of rock underneath a mountain. While Iran enriched uranium, they never crossed that final threshold into a weapon. Unlike the acceleration they saw during the Biden administration, they actually eased sanctions. Did you forget that Biden eased sanctions? So Trump didn't just talk tough like previous administrations did. He broke them. He isolated them. He made them scared and confused as to which way they should go, what they should do. And Iran, quite frankly, has had it coming for a really long time. They are the bully that has been killing innocent people, including as many as 50,000 of their own people in the last year alone. People forget that. They were gunning people down in the streets back in December and January, not that long ago. They had been terrorizing their neighbors, not just Israel. That's the thing about one of the components of the left's argument. Well, Trump did this for Israel. Oh, okay. Is he Netanyahu's puppet or is he Putin's puppet? I'm confused because those two guys have completely different and sometimes opposing agendas. So make up your minds. Which is it? Is he Israel's puppet or is he Putin's puppet? Can't be both. I guess maybe you could. I guess Trump just bends over for every world leader. But Iran has been terrorizing Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the UAE and all of its neighbors for 50 years, and everyone's been scared to do anything about it, including the United States, the big, bad United States of America, the most powerful military on the planet. And Trump just said no more. And I don't know why the left hates that. Because I remember when I was a kid, the Democrat Party was the party of peace. And that's what is most likely to be the long-term effect of this. We may finally have some semblance of peace in the Middle East for a while. Well, let's turn to this week in media bias. Get a load of this news story. The headline: Internet reacts after Barron Trump launches energy drink that cost $40. Quote, the grift never stops with these people. The story says the Trump family is big on branding, always selling some sort of product with their name or likeness attached to it. It seems neither Donald Trump nor Melania Trump are ashamed to be called grifters with every new product they put on the market. Rather, they're passing along the family torch to their son Barron, who, as the new Solos Yerba Mate, has developed a new energy drink. In April, the 20-year-old NYU student was listed as director of Solos Yerba Mate. The beverage, which dropped a few weeks ago, boasts 120 milligrams of natural caffeine, only 5 grams of added sugar, and just 50 calories per drink. Sounds pretty good. However, the drinks are only available for purchases in packs of 12, one of which will cost you $39. There it is. See what they did there? The headline was, it's a $40 energy drink. And what they're hoping is that you just read the headline and you think, oh my gosh, $40 for a can of an... No, it's $40 for a 12-pack. So let's do the math. It's a 12-pack, so that's $3.25 a can for a yerba mate drink. Now, is that pricey? Yeah, it's yerba mate, normally $2.50 to $2.75 a can average. So Barron Trump is charging 50 to 75 cents more per can. What a ripoff, right? Am I right? Meanwhile, the lady that wrote this article did so while sipping on her $7 Venti Frap from Starbucks, completely unaware of the subtle taste of irony in every sip. That's good 30-cent black coffee. I'm old school. Why, in my day, we used to drink the coffee in the office even after it was congealed down into something that looked like burnt molasses. We used to drink it. Just drink it anywhere. Just add a lot of sugar to it. It'll be fine. And then when I lived in Miami, I used to drink that rocket fuel known as Café Cubano or Colada sometimes. And I even learned how to make it over the years. Anyway, that's not even the point of the argument. The point is, make a headline, put it on the internet, make sure that the headline is deceptive enough to where people might just, if they just read the headline, they think it's $40 a can for an energy drink. And that will happen because a lot of people, they just read the headline, it'll feed their confirmation bias, and they will not click through to the story where they get all that, pesky context. But yes, the Trumps do like to put their names on businesses, anything and everything. And with Donald Trump, of course, it's always the best.
Folks, there isn't a business out there that Trump can't do better. Someone took me up on that challenge the other day. They said, what about a dry cleaner? They said, what about 1 hour Martinizing? I said, we can do better. Introducing Trump's 1 minute Martinizing. Everyone else takes an hour. So sad. So sad. We'll do it in 1 minute, so quickly, so very, very, very quickly. The fastest that you've ever seen. You drop off your dirty clothes, your suits, your dresses, even your ties, and boom, 1 minute later, they're back, they're perfect, they're better than new. Your shirts will be so clean, no more wrinkles. The wrinkles have been obliterated like they never existed. We dropped a Moab on those wrinkles. And at Donald Trump's 1 minute Martinizing, we won't shrink your clothes like the Democrats shrink your paycheck. People are saying, sir, this is the greatest dry cleaning we've ever had. And look at those hangers. They are gold-plated hangers. So come on down to Donald Trump's 1 minute Martinizing, now open. 1 minute Martinizing. Even the drug cartels don't launder so quickly.
Well, it's time for The Science is Settled with Al Gore. Welcome back to Mark Moseley Show on social media at Mark Moseley. Don't forget to subscribe to my podcast on YouTube. Share with a friend. Ask questions. Leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment. All those things help the show grow because it helps YouTube's algorithm go, oh, okay, people are watching this and some of them like it. So the more you do those things, the more the show grows. Otherwise, it doesn't grow. We've had some episodes that went viral and some that didn't. And I'm still trying to crack the code on that. How do you make it do that every week? But anyway, and we've been trying to grow the show through shorts as well. So check out the channel and look at the shorts because the shorts are, 1 to 2 minute clips from the show that you might enjoy and sharing with somebody else. The Science is Settled with Al Gore. This week, it's the 20th anniversary of Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, and Al Gore is here now to read off some of the most glaring examples of predictions made in that movie that didn't come true. Are you ready, Al? No, I'm not doing this. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. I'm doing your voice, and here we go. Please don't make me do this. You have to. I hate you. Oh, that the Arctic ice caps would be gone by 2014. Gore cited a scientist claiming the Arctic could be ice-free in summer as early as 2014. Arctic sea ice has declined, see? Keep reading. But remains substantial. Complete melting of Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets, leading to a 20-foot sea level rise, did not happen. While sea levels are rising, the catastrophic multi-foot rise by now, or in the near term, has not occurred. Read on. Oh. Hurricanes would become dramatically more frequent and intense. Gore linked global warming to stronger, more numerous hurricanes. While intensity has some correlation in research, overall frequency and landfall trends have not shown the dramatic increase predicted. CO2 levels and temperature would cause massive runaway warming. The film implied we were on the verge of crossing irreversible tipping points with rapid acceleration. Global temperatures have risen, see? But the rate has been more moderate than the upper end alarm scenarios. One more. Mass extinctions and collapsing ecosystems within a decade or two. Gore warned of imminent catastrophic species loss. While biodiversity loss is ongoing, the specific timeline and scale of sudden collapse predicted have not occurred. Can I go now? Yeah, I guess. Hate you so much. But now we're being warned by all the sciencey people that the coming El Nino is what's going to kill us all. And it might. It might not. But not all wild predictions come true. Here's Guy McPherson of the University of Arizona, who predicted complete human extinction by the year, guess what year? 2026. All humans on the planet dead.
Last time I spoke to you, 2014, and you sort of, snatched any hope of a future from me and my family. It was doom and gloom. Has anything changed since then?
Oh, yes. The situation is far worse than it was then.
Okay. How much time does the human race have?
I can't imagine there will be a human on the planet in 10 years.
Well, that didn't happen. Although if it had, I wouldn't be worried about how my podcast is doing on YouTube. But the Godzilla El Nino is coming. Mainstream media coverage is largely consistent and increasingly alarmist. Official sources, including NOAA's Climate Prediction Center, forecast high confidence that El Nino will develop by May to July of 2026, near certain by late 2026, and persist through the Northern Hemisphere winter of 26-27. Many models expect at least a strong event with roughly a 2 in 3 chance of strong or very strong conditions. Highlighted impacts include record global temperatures, increased flooding risks in the southern U.S., South America, and the Gulf Coast, higher coastal flooding, droughts in Australia, Indonesia, and southern Africa, and a potentially suppressed Atlantic hurricane season. In more sensational coverage, the event is being hyped as a potential Super El Nino, or even a Godzilla El Nino, with claims it could become the strongest on record, surpassing previous monsters like in 1877, 1997, or 2015. Some predictions warn it could rival the deadly 1877 event linked to global famines and tens of millions of deaths globally. And the media, of course, is in their usual understated style, is calling it the Godzilla El Nino.
It's Godzilla! It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not. Still, we should run like it is Godzilla! Though it isn't.
Well, let's turn to something stupid, as if it hasn't been up to this point. It's time for our doofus of the week. It was a crisp fall day in Rainier, Oregon. 71-year-old William Hosch was doing what countless folks his age enjoy. He was pedaling peacefully along on the street on his bicycle, minding his own business, getting a bit of fresh air and a little bit of exercise. A man who trusted that on the roads of his quiet community, people would watch where they were going. Suddenly, without warning, a vehicle made a sharp right turn directly into his path. The impact was brutal. His bike was crushed. He suffered a fractured nose, painful scrapes and bruises across his body, and actual internal injuries that would leave lasting limitations. Shaken and hurt, he needed immediate medical help. Luckily for William, there was an ambulance nearby. They got right to work, loaded the injured cyclist aboard, and rushed him to the hospital and provided the care along the way that he desperately needed. That an ambulance was close by when William needed one was kind of a silver lining in an otherwise pretty crappy day. Well, days later, the bill arrived, $1,862 for that ambulance ride. And when William Hosch got that bill, he saw red. $1,862. How dare they send him a bill for the ambulance ride? Now he's suing Columbia River Fire and Rescue for nearly $1 million, which would cover his medical bills and then some. Now you might be wondering, why is this man suing the ambulance company when all they did was quickly be on the scene and provide him with the life-saving care that he needed in that crucial moment? Well, it's because William was hit by that ambulance in the first place. They hit him, and then they sent him a bill for the ride to the hospital. So, congratulations, Columbia River Fire and Rescue. You're our big, stupid doofus of the week. And let's wrap up the show with some good news. We love the good news on this show. In a world where technology very often feels cold and distant, And this story from a company that often itself feels cold and distant. Meta, yes, Meta is actually doing something human. They have launched a quietly remarkable initiative. The company behind Facebook and Instagram and a bunch of other apps that are spying on you even as you speak, even as you listen to this show or watch this show, they're quietly tracking your every move in the background. Well, they've launched a special program to provide AI-powered smart glasses to one particular group of people for free. These high-tech Ray-Ban Meta glasses use advanced artificial intelligence and real-time cameras to describe surroundings, read text aloud, identify objects, and even offer navigational cues. For a veteran, like one who lost his sight in Iraq, that means crossing busy streets safely, or reading his grandson's report card, or recognizing the faces of his old unit buddies at a reunion. The part that warms the heart is the free part. Meta is partnering with veterans organizations to distribute glasses at no cost to the hundreds of men and women across the country who lost their vision in service of our country. Now, these are not experimental prototypes. These are the same glasses that they sell in stores for like $300 to $400. And they're giving them to as a direct thank you for the people that sacrificed so much for all of us. For the recipients, those givers out there, those sacrificers among us, many of these people, if you think about it, would never go out and do this for themselves. It's great because it's the first time in years they're going to be able to go back to enjoying simple daily independence without constant assistance from some family member or friend. So what started out as a cutting-edge, cool consumer product that most of us would never afford is now becoming a tool for real human connection, real restoration of personal dignity, and maybe restoring a little bit of joy to the lives of people that put their lives on the line for America. Galatians 6:9 through 10 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially those who belong to the family of believers." That's the show. Until next time, may God bless you with health, joy, and wisdom.